Thank you very much, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. And I am quite excited actually to meet all of you and to be part of this educational journey, professional development slash, you know, networking, building things together. Just before we get started, it's always my style, and this is where I actually build my strength. This is where I get my courage, how would I say, the energy, the drive to move forward. Is I need to feel connected with my audience because I want to know a little bit about my audience. So now I heard from Steve that many, or not majority, is from the educational field, in business and probably other careers. But right now, may I just know by raise of hand or maybe thumbs up, how many of you are teachers in Bangkok or in Thailand? Okay, one, I see one hand. 2, 3, 4, Felix, 5, Casly, 5, who else? We have 5 teachers, or any related to education anymore? How about parents? Okay, how many of us are parents here? Okay, that's good. Happy to see that. Great. All right. How many of us are in business? Business, maybe education slash business. I know Steve is an educator slash businessman slash. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Because what I'm going to talk about this evening is I believe it's going to impact not only the future of education, not only as educators, but importantly, the bigger picture of the world economy, businesses, and also parenthood. Okay, so just caution, to most of us who have been in education, you might be surprised with some of the bombs I'm going to drop today, okay, this evening, because I myself have been shocked when I have learned and discovered this. And I would say that it's really high time for us to start shifting our focus, shifting the way how we look at how our kids are learning, how our schools should be teaching students, how are we developing and preparing our youth, our children now for the future, because this is the biggest challenge we are facing. It's not just the role of educators in schools, it's actually the biggest responsibility of government leaders as well, and government agencies. So there's a big challenge out there that needs to be done, but it seems like no one is doing something about it significantly. But anyway, I'm going to be pulling out my presentation. So can you guys see my slide?
Yes.
So here, this is the topic I want to talk to you about. Future education, why it matters, and how do we prepare for a fast changing world. I want to just draw your attention into the photo or the illustration I have placed here. You can see a significant difference between traditional education. You can see the picture in black and white, the traditional education system, and the one on the left is the modern educational system. I don't know if you have noticed that this system, or the photo image you can see on the right side, can anybody see? I mean, can anybody guess how many years do you think is this picture, or is this Yeah, this photo taken. Anybody has a guess on how many years do you think has this been?
It looks like 1978.
Okay. Any more?
1960.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. I love it when you guys are engaging with me. I feel like I'm not alone here. Okay. Any more? Okay. This is 200 years ago. It's been 200 years ago. So if you notice, the same educational system 200 years ago is still pretty much the same until now. I'm pretty sure even in the Philippines, some schools are still like this. So there has been, a revolution already that's been happening in businesses, in the industries. However, our educational system has not been able to respond to those changes. Okay. Now, let's start. So these are the things I would like to cover this evening. First, I want to cover about the alarming gap in education. Okay, skill gap between the educational system and the industry. The origin of modern education. This is where it is quite shocking if you will really understand what is the design of the educational system, modern educational system back then, and what are the impacts of overschooling, over creativity, and new learning paradigm, the vision of future-ready education, which I will be showing to you some of the activities or some of the approaches we do at WeLearn. So just to give you an overview, WeLearn is a future education school. We focus on project-based learning, self-direction, and heavily we emphasize on the future skills. We are not heavily on academics. We focus mainly on how to say, competencies instead of standards. So we focus our learners on demonstration of abilities instead of just tests and exams. All right, let's move on. Okay, so this is why this conversation is important. This is not just about school. It's also impacting about the future workforce, the society, the economy in general. What do you think will happen to the workforce, to the industry, to our society, and to the whole global economy if businesses, if industries, corporations, companies, factories, everything out there cannot have the skills or workers that is able to deliver the businesses they have? What do you think can happen? There will be, this is the crisis now we are facing. This is not something in the future. I'm going to be presenting to you some compelling data from top researchers in businesses, consulting firms and companies, and you will be blown away that we are going through significant crisis. Okay, you can see that the workforce has been changing, technology is advancing. Now, what's happening to the kids at school, to our very own children? How do you think are they learning right now? If you go to public schools, even here in Bangkok, in Thailand, you see how students are learning. Do you think they are learning? Even let's go to international schools right now. How are kids in the classes, in your classrooms, our very own children, how are they learning? Then ask ourselves, are we preparing them for the future? What are the schools doing? What are the governments doing? And if we're not, then what's going to happen to our workforce, to our society? So there is an alarming skill gap here. If you're going to look at the jobs out there, okay, and you look at graduates, there is a significant difference. There was from a few years ago, there's an article I have seen. They have they actually published that 90% of engineers who graduated from universities cannot find jobs. 90%. Why so? Because they didn't have the skill sets that are needed by corporations, by companies, in order for them to deliver what is expected. Okay, let me just show you this clip.
From the outside, the schooling system for the longest time has looked the same as it always has. Students group together in classrooms while teachers strive to pass on the knowledge needed to survive in the real world. But from the inside, the schooling system has been involved in a constant cycle of reformation as it aims to keep up with the ever-changing needs of society. As we've seen throughout history, this type of reformation occurs every few years, usually at the heights of major socio-economic shifts. The change in societal needs kickstarts changes to industry, which alters the types of skills needed for employment, ultimately influencing what schools teach students in the classroom. In the past, education systems have attempted to align themselves more closely to industry in order to shorten the lag between the two. At the turn of the 20th century, societal concerns that schools were ill-preparing their students for the industrialized world persuaded educational leaders to restructure their schools. They turned to examples from successful businesses to reorient their teaching to 20th century skills. But while this cycle of evolution isn't new, the current rate in which it's turning is. As the industry landscape pushes further into the digital age, 87% of businesses are reporting a skills gap. This can be attributed to the shift in what employers are looking for when hiring new workers. A recent survey held by Deloitte states that as the nature of work evolves, they are now interested in skills where they were once more interested in qualifications. So here's the question. How do we help our students acquire the skills employers are looking for? How do we teach today so the students will have what they need tomorrow?
So that is a very big question right in front of us. So look at here. Let's look at data. There are some data presented also in the clip. Here, 87% of companies say they have skill gaps. Okay? 87%. That's significant. They say right now they have 43%. 2 years later, 22%. 3 to 5 years later, another 22%. Here's another study, a research by McKinsey. Okay, reskilling programs most often focus on building employee skills, critical thinking, leadership, management, advanced data analysis. So this is what they are looking to be prioritized for their reskilling, which means they need to retrain their current employees. Number one is critical thinking and decision making. That's 44%. Leadership, management, okay, and managing others, 41%. Advanced data analysis, 36%. Project management, adaptability, IT skills, so forth and so on. There it goes. So they're crying out loud now for the skill gap. Workforce 2024 survey reported. Okay, this is from over 1,000 corporations. The current state of workforce skill gap. 70% of leaders, they say there is a skill gap. And the same, according to the study, the same typical skills are wanted, needed, required. Even reskilling is highly necessary. Strategic and critical thinking, problem solving, communication, written and oral, flexible and adaptability, emotional intelligence, leadership management, time management, creativity, and the rest. It has been significantly noted, not only in few companies, but significantly around the world, in major companies, major businesses. There a lot of employees, and even new employees and old employees, need to have reskilling, upskilling, retraining. Why do you think so? You know, if we will notice, there has been always a significant shift that has been going on in the industry. Innovation and technology is so fast. It's evolving in high speed, in the speed of light. But when it comes to skilling, when it comes to training, when it comes to education, they're getting left behind. According to Deloitte, the skill gap is widening faster than anticipated. McKinsey said, education system is not equipping learners with skills for the digital age. I think you will all agree with me as well. Here's another thing they said. Businesses can't find skills they need. Look here. It is saying we hire for attitude and we train for skills. You know, this is also something that I have observed when I was hiring employees or teachers at our school. We cannot just look at qualifications. You know, it's not just qualifications. It's not enough. Why? There are so many people with qualifications, but actually when they get into the real jobs, they cannot deliver. Most of them are actually looking for, I mean, when I was hiring, I would always look at attitude of the individual. But it's hard to find those attitude from interviews, but you will only find them later on. But of course, it's important for them to be problem solvers, to be critical thinkers, and to have passion actually to what they're doing. And if they have those qualities, they have high chances of succeeding. There are more data here. Okay, so I think my presentation is this is a very small text. I will just highlight them to you. Okay, this is about the skill gaps. They said, jobs are here, but where are the people? See? There has been shift in skill sets due to introduction of advancing technology and automation. So it's pretty overwhelming. Not only small companies, even factories, even multinational companies, they can feel the pain and all the shortage. See, there's here, it says 2.4 million positions unfilled and put 2.5 trillion in manufacturing GDP at risk over the next decade. 2.4 million positions. Can you imagine that? What's going to happen when there are a lot of vacant jobs but no qualified or skilled people? Okay, how workforce skills have shifted. There is also here another study. I mean, you can see automation and AI has changed skills needed in the workforce. From here in this presentation before, okay, it's negative 14 here. The physical and manual, they don't need much of automation. And here, negative 15 during this time. And here it's starting to build up. High cognitive, it's 8, starting with 8 points. And social and emotional become 24 points. Technology become 55 points. This is between 2016, hours spent in 2016 in billions, and change hours spent by 2030. So this is expected, what's going to happen in the currently now and in the coming years. That's why technology, those people who are in technology, like Brother Steve over here, he will always be in demand and will not run out of business or jobs or opportunities. But for some of us who does not have much of technical skills, I think we need to start shaping up. So it's important for us to see how things in the future are coming. Okay, this is now from World Economic Forum. Top 10 priorities through 2027. It's pretty much the same skills they're looking for. Analytical thinking, creativity, AI and big data, leadership and social influence, resilience, flexibility, curiosity, lifelong learning, design user experience, motivation, self-awareness, empathy, activated listening. You will notice here that, okay, cognitive, green, okay? There are two cognitive skills here. Black is technology, AI, okay? Design, user experience. Self-efficacy, this is blue. Curiosity, lifelong learning, motivation, self-awareness. So this is the emotional intelligence and working with other people. Now let's ask ourselves, how many of our curriculum in our schools, in our universities are actually teaching soft skills? Yeah, we have, if you're in the field of computer science, in that area, definitely you will be learning technical skills. But how about the general education, the general learning? How about the foundation in schools and all that? How many schools are actually focusing on soft skills, not just the technical skills? Now, let's get into this. This is something that is quite significant. Why are the schools stuck right now? If you notice the image I have presented, the picture 200 years ago and the picture of education of our classroom right now is pretty much the same. Why is our educational system stuck? Have you thought about that? Here, how many of you have heard about Prussian education? Maybe you could do a thumbs up if you have heard about Prussian education. Yes, no?
No, I haven't.
Okay, thank you, Steve. But they call it actually that time, it's already modern education. It has been designed 200 years ago for a very different purpose. What do you think is the main purpose of education back then? The modern education system, or the education system that we have been trained, our parents have been educated, and our current kids are being educated now. What do you think is the big essence of this? Okay, let's explore and discover. Okay, look at this now. The Prussian model of education, developed after Prussian military failures in the Napoleonic Wars, aimed to indoctrinate children from age 6 to 16 to ensure complete obedience to the state and military leaders, so no soldiers would ever disobey an order again. Huh? Is that right? Think about it. I need you to stop a moment. If you were not able to engage with me earlier, just for this particular moment, get yourself into that slide. Read it to yourself. Now let's read to the small text down there. It says, it includes compulsory schooling, teaching certification, standardized test. That's in 1812, and later adopted across Germany in 1871. Does it sound familiar? Now, what is the original purpose and design of education? The modern education they were saying, they were talking about, the Prussian education. What is the main purpose of that? For military school. Because they lost from Napoleon during the war. And they want students to be trained to obey. Okay, some more. I have more quotes here. Okay, this is from Bertrand Russell's 1932. Okay, the aim of educational system is produce citizens who are docile. Docile means compliant. They don't complain, just obey without asking question. Industrious, punctual, thoughtless, and contented. You know, I'm okay for punctual. I'm okay for industrious, but thoughtless. You know, It's like, think of what do we really want? I mean, do I have to go back to my slide? What are the employers looking for actually? Maybe I have to do that, right? See, they need people who are analytical thinkers, who are creative, who have leadership skills, who are curious, who are lifelong learners, self-motivators. They have empathy and all that. So, but look at the educational system that have been using globally, and this is shocking. This is a bomb. Okay, look, education should aim to what? Destroy the free will. Can you imagine that? Whoa. To be honest, when I discovered this, I was actually like, oh my. This is how we were being trained, for us just to be obedient, not asking questions. In the Philippines, we've been under the Spanish colony. I mean, Spaniards. And the educational system in the Philippines was pretty strong. You cannot ask questions and you cannot challenge the teachers. You will be getting whipping. I mean, back then, not anymore this time, but originally, So this is quite surprising really for me to realize that the educational system that we have been using now globally has been designed not for this generation. Maybe in the past it worked for them. It really worked for them. But plainly for soldiers. Okay, look at Germany. Okay. The system actually worked. German soldiers and citizens raised in seemingly liberal socialist democracy carried out atrocities during World War II. Yeah, that is the purpose of education system. They are doing something cruel to humanity. The genocide. But no one would dare to ask questions or questions their officers to be killing the Jews, millions and millions of them. Why? It's because that's how they have been trained. So Prussian educational system has been passed on from Prussia to France to Great Britain, then to America. And America has been, they say, oh, that's pretty cool. They copied it. And now it's being spread out throughout the world. Okay, there's a quote I would like to bring to you. This is from Ellen White, who is an author in education. She said, I quote, "True education means more than the perusal of a certain course of study. It means more than a preparation for life that is now. It has to do with the whole being, the whole period of existence of possible to man." Another quote, she said, "The object of true education is to develop the power of the mind so that young thinkers will be able to gather and use knowledge to think and to do." Now, let's look at what has this educational system actually done to us or to our kids or to the generation. Overschooling, the cost of overschooling. You see, how many hours does our kids spend at school? It's like 5 to 6 hours that they have been at school. And look at how they're learning now. Do you think learning for 5 to 6 hours a day is helping our kids learn? More time in school, is it better? Look at this boy. I don't think he's enjoying what he's doing. And see, this is another research. Because of overschooling, spending too much at school, learning too much academics without so much meaning and so much relevance to the kids, this is the result. 2022, PISA scores have dropped significantly by 15 points. Social skill gaps. Teachers observed and improved peer interactions after reducing academic pressure. There has been a significant change on that. Stress. 85% of students, they are likely to be stressed for long-term issues, memory and attention. Behavioral issues, emotional issues. That's why there are fighting, public schools. This is very, very common in public schools and even in some private schools. Let's not wonder why. There are kids who bring weapons with them at school. And this is the result of what we have been doing. And significantly, increase of disabilities. Have you noticed, for those of you who have been educators, have you noticed, why do we have so much ADHD now? Why there are so many kids who cannot just sit? They have to always be walking around, talking to other kids and doing, terrorizing other kids. This has been a study that has been observed because of too much learning. They call it overschooling. What is a better example? Okay, let's look at Finland. Have you heard about this? Finland has the best educational system in the world. Yeah, have you heard about that?
Yes.
That's good because it's a reality. It's true. And let's find out why. Look, less school, less learning. They learn outdoors, okay? Shorter school days and years. They have more breaks, less or no homework at all, no standardized testing. Isn't that pretty cool? How do they learn? They actually learn the real stuff. They go out in nature. See that? That's really, they learn science by actually not in the lab. They go out there and really learn about plants, animals, and learn it in a very practical way. Then there's meaning, right? We all know that experience is always the best teacher, but I don't know why teachers don't use that as letting their kids to learn by experience. Have you thought about that? I have been a teacher for more than 20 years. I have taught in university level, even master's level. I've taught in elementary, in high school. I have a wide range of experience, and I don't really understand why do we have to give long exams during exams with multiple choice, true or false, and all that. And after that, after the test, the kids forget about it. They completely forgot about it. It's just and it's just a routine, Kids will study, memorize, and all that, and then go to the next grade level and do the same thing, And I don't know if there's really learning. And I'm trying to reflect. What did I actually learn about, algebra when I was high school, about physics, chemistry? Man, I'm not a great student back then, but one thing I really enjoyed and I learned a lot, I would say, is my practical arts. It's practical arts where we actually went to, what do you call that? We went to machine. It's like it's not a factory. It's like a machinery where we get to have tools and we use different kinds of tools to make something. It could be a steel tool, or we can curve out and cut out metals. It could be wood, and we learned drafting, architecture, so many things. And I would always learn in a very practical way. Okay, there's another quote here from True Education from Ellen White. Students should spend time outdoors and engage in manual labor for practical training, physical well-being, in essential and supporting intellectual and spiritual growth. Ellen White has been, she was a writer. She started writing since 1800s. So her writings in education back then is spot on, but it has never been noticed. What she has been saying in her writings about education has not been, paid attention by many people, but what she has been written is really spot on. We have to wait for 100 years to see the effect of what we call untrue education. The education we were made to believe to prepare our children for the future is actually, we realize today that the original design of our education back then is actually for military, to train the students just to obey without asking questions. So, that's quite shocking. But here is the true essence of education. It has to be practical, okay? And it has to develop intellectual and spirituality as well. Okay, so now we're shifting now to, you can see here, the type of learning. Traditionally, learning has been time-based. What does that mean? It means if you sit in the classroom for 9 months to 10 months, you're pretty sure you go to the next grade level. Yeah? That is what you call time-based. Whether you pass tests or not, probably, you could go back, but everybody move to the next grade level. That's time-based. As long as you're perfect in attendance. I have a professor in the Philippines. He teaches law. He said, if your attendance is perfect, you're A. No questions. Yeah, you're A. If you absent 1, that's A minus. Yeah, well, you just sit in the classroom. You get to pass. But now things has need to change. It has to focus now on mastery of skills. Okay? Learning should be measured by what you can do, not how long you sit. Okay? Now, that's the reason why we learn education is actually part of the global revolution of schools who have been trying to change educational system. We believe that it has to be mastery based. Learning comes only through practical experience, through personalized learning. It's not like an educational system that fits everyone. To those of you who are educators, okay, let me ask you, when you teach a class or you give a test, does everybody get it right? What the lesson that you're trying to teach them, how many of them can pass? How many of them can fail? How many of them would have to be, they need to relearn it over and over again before they get it? Because every individual have different learning abilities. They have different intelligences. And the way how we teach our kids is not, we're not even able to touch different intelligences or different ways of differentiation, the way how we teach. So how can we expect that everybody will get it right? Every learner needs to have their own pace, how they can learn better, and we need to give them time. We cannot rush them off like, hey, it's already end of time, pass your papers, whether you get it or not, it's over. So that's how we learn now. And towards the end of the year, as long as you have perfect attendance, some are excused anyway, you get to pass. Now, things has been changing. It has to be really focused on competency. Competency is on what can you deliver. So there's been, this is time-based over mastery-based. If it's time-based, it's over here. Whether you finish or not, you got to finish it. You got to move on, okay? If it's mastery-based, it's set here. It's okay how long you can do it. As long as you mastered it, then you can move forward. Okay, education should solve real problems, not just tick boxes, That's the reason why we learn is a focus on project-based learning. Internship, we focus on internship, learning, and digital portfolios. It's like when you're doing PBL, when you give students projects after projects, like we spent every week, we dedicate 10 hours of project work every week. In every term, one project takes 3 months time. And whatever the students could develop is actually goes to their portfolio according to their interests, their passion, what they are more inclined to do. They have those freedom to work on those. So there's another quote here from Ellen White about true education. Teachers should foster critical thinking rather than rote memorization and cultivate students' special talents while ensuring a broad curriculum. The mind is to be trained to think, to investigate, to reason, to discriminate, to weigh evidence, to draw conclusion. Okay, what is the future of learning? How does our education system look like now? So these are just some examples of what our learners are doing in project-based, where they do a lot of experiments. There should always be technology and innovation. Okay, so we always try to integrate that kids could be using different kinds of devices, different kinds of technology, and focus on creativity. Self-paced, okay? So what skills matter now? So WeLearn is focusing on 7 future skills, okay? These are the 7 future skills that WeLearn has been advocating. It starts here. Self-directed learner, okay? We don't have teachers actually in our school. We have coaches where our students get their learning in an online platform so they can be able to do it at their own pace. Some learners can finish 1 grade level in 6 months. Some can do it in 4 months. Some can do it in 10 months. Some can do it in 2 years. You know, so those learners who need more time, okay, you take your time as long as you get it, as long as you learn it, you take your time. But we don't promote that students just go to the next grade level if they don't really know what they need to learn to know. We focus also on critical thinking. We're very heavy about critical thinking, of course, creativity, collaboration and leadership, communication, the 21st century skills, you know. But these are the 3 things that makes us unique. The 3 things that makes us unique is entrepreneurship, okay? We want our students to think innovatively. Entrepreneurship, not in a sense of thinking about business and how to make money. It's more of like identifying a problem and finding solutions to the problem by being innovative and creative. Then, of course, we're very heavy also on social and emotional intelligence, yeah, which is, if you can see here on this graph, it is one of the gaps, skill gaps, soft skills and hard skills. See here, the black one are the soft skills, and oh yeah, this is all soft skills. Hard skills are on the other slide, but it's pretty much aligned from. So the model of our educational system has been mostly developed according to the result of researches and companies that they need skills for the employees that they need to hire in the future. Thank you so much for your time. Now we can have a question and answer. And thank you for your patience.